Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. Happy holidays. I just wanted to share a very special episode I did last year around this time, as it's a great reminder of how this time of year can be used to self reflect on your life now and where you want to go as we head into the new year. I am just coming off of a complete high of my Dating Reimagined retreat, which was so inspiring and, really transformative, where both men and women made some significant shifts and commitments to themselves in a really short amount of time. And this was a reminder, both to myself, and I want to remind you that you too can change your actions, get out of your comfort zone, and explore new sides of yourself. So I invite you to do the same. But here's the reality. I mean, the truth is, though most people don't fulfill their new year resolutions and goals because, look, they shoot themselves way too high with big aspirations and expectations without accountability, self monitoring, and specific tangible actions to keep things going. And then they lack the sticking power. In fact, did you know it's only like 16% of the population actually fulfill their New Year's resolutions? That is why the retreat was so powerful, because this group worked on specific skills to build their dating confidence with accountability, structure, and a plan. In fact, they didn't want to leave one another after we were done. So I'm moving them on to a 6-month program, which I'm really excited about. So if you are finding yourself in a stage of burnout and feel hopeless about dating, I want you to ask yourself one simple question that may get you motivated. Instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, I'm moving into the year and I have to date to get a boyfriend or girlfriend, ask yourself this. What skills are you going to learn this year that will actually build your dating confidence? That's a much more specific and easier thing to digest and also measure, and hopefully you will do, that will end up building your overall confidence. And I want you to continue to listen to this episode, and I hope it inspires you and motivates you to get past that burnout that you might be experiencing and really reinvent your dating life as we head into the new year. Enjoy, and I hope this helps you become that 16% I was talking about of fulfilling your aspirations. The new year is a perfect time to look inward, to assess how you're feeling about your life, where you're headed, and what you'd like to change. Often holidays are transitions that catapult us into a different state. And here's the thing: if you're burnt out, which many of you are, you're down on dating, you're feeling hopeless, this is the perfect time to take a look at things and ask yourself how you are going to make over your dating and love life, especially if you believe you'll never meet someone you can truly love and spend your life with. Dating burnout is real. We've been talking a lot about burnout, especially this year, and it is a real thing. In fact, there are clinical symptoms you might be experiencing, such as sense of failure, self-doubt, feeling helpless, trapped, defeated. You almost get like detached from things, feeling alone in the world, loss of motivation, increasingly cynical, negative outlook, decreased satisfaction, sense of accomplishment. All of those things add up to that burnout. Now, a lot of people talk about it in terms of, work and career, but I believe this dating burnout is real. If any of these things sound like you, it may be time to re-energize yourself with a little reinvention. Just because you're not in love right now, it doesn't mean that you can't change some things so that you experience dating in a whole new way, where it's exciting, it's fun, and new. If it doesn't feel that way, you need to shut down and reboot, basically. Rather than focus on what you don't have, use this time to focus on what you do have, what you can do differently to enjoy dating and meeting new people. And you'll learn by improving your dating life and why that's so important. Because if you focus on the benefits of learning how to like the stage in your life, everything's going to get better. You'll feel better, you'll look better, and sound better. In fact, the clients that work with me, they go back to their family and friends and they all comment, "Oh my gosh, you look so different. What did you do? Did you get a facial? Did you lose weight?" Maybe those things happen, but normally what it is what I call the charisma glow. Okay. All my clients get it because there is this glow, this energy that happens that is so magical. And you'll see that not only will that radiate from you, but you'll have this just inner sense of happiness, and it all increases your chances for love. Because let's face it, that's what you're looking for, right? So if you've got to become what you want to attract, here are reasons why you'll want to focus on reinventing your dating life in a more positive direction. Number one, you'll feel more hopeful and optimistic when you meet new people. You're not going to dread it, right? Like, do you ever think about going out and you're like, ugh, I don't want to meet people? But when you're in that state, you're excited to meet new people. Number two, you actually enjoy going on dates. I promise you, if you have not experienced this before, then we definitely need to talk, because it is something that you should enjoy, and that makes it more fun and interesting. And you'll be more fun and interesting to be around. You feel healthier, you're more optimistic, which makes you more attractive. Number four, you take control of your life. This increases your feelings of power, which translates to an increase of self-esteem. Because let's face it, when you're in that state of burnout, you're not feeling very good about yourself. But when you have some sort of control that's going on in the way that you're doing things for yourself, that increases that confidence. And when you increase your self confidence, that helps you feel better about yourself. And lo and behold, your chances of finding true love. I remember so much of this when I was going through it. I mean, I know I talk a lot about my post divorce experience with my red dress moment. And many of you know that story, so I'm not going to tell that again. But what I haven't shared a lot is how I overhauled my life in many different ways. I mean, I really had to do a hard assessment of my life and what I wanted, because post divorce or after a breakup, you end up like in that like familiar state, the familiar state of your clothes, the familiar state of your body, like your identity that was wrapped up into the partner. And that all gets to be changed once you look ahead, right? And so I had to do that. I mean, the first thing, just like looking at my career, wow. I mean, I was a therapist in a traditional sense. And, at that moment, if anyone had come to me, I always joke, I would have said, "You think you got issues? Let me let me go on the couch for a second." There was no way I could have been the type of therapist I was before, but I had to do a hard assessment of what I really did want to do with my life. And so what did I do? I started taking classes. I took a correspondence course over in the UK called Style Coaching, when I started to understand how I love the style piece and marry that with the coaching aspect. I studied with the top image consultant here in LA. Like, I started doing things and putting, like a lot of things into action towards a new career. So that's the thing. It's one thing to think about it, but it's another thing to start taking action. So that was the first thing that I really had to overhaul. And number two, my friends. Like, I really loved my married folk back in Chicago, but when I moved here to LA, the friends that I had started making were all married. And again, everybody was lovely, but it wasn't what I needed at the time. I needed more single friends. So I had to take another like really hard look at how I could make new single friends. And I did it. And I started putting myself out there, and some married moms introduced me to some divorced moms. And then before I knew it, I had my Sex in the City clan, where I actually had a set of gal friends, and I called them my wing gals, and we would go out and we would practice flirting because that was something that was foreign to me. So that was the other reinvention. Now, another area of my life is that I decided to pick up and move because it was hard being in the suburbs as a single woman. I'm sure you can relate if you live in the suburbs, you know what I mean. And not to say that you can't date in the suburbs, but for me, I knew that that was going to be an important move. So I completely picked up and moved to a whole different area of LA. And it was a big adjustment for my family, but it was the best move I could have made for me. And here's the thing, because I was happier, I was also a better mom, I was a better friend. This is the point of when you start pulling in, and I always say get a little selfish and start looking at things that you want for yourself, because you are going to be better for someone else when you do that. The final thing was obviously the new look, right? Like you heard my red dress moment, and I had lost some weight, but then I started getting healthy. I joined a health club that was also good for my social life. I got new clothes. Yes, I did get more clothes beyond the red dress, just so you know that. It was an evolution, but this is the perfect time to do that, especially if you're thinking about reinvention. So, with all of that I did and I tried, now, obviously that was over a course of a long period. You can't, build Rome overnight, as they say, but I took those steps and those actionable steps that got me to where I am today. So if you are experiencing dating burnout, and by the way, that journey definitely helped me get out of my rut. The best way to combat that is to reinvent yourself before meeting your potential dates, especially as we head into the new year. You might think this means a total overhaul of you or your life, or changing who you are, but it's not about changing you inherently as a person, but it's changing things about your mindset, the way you're marketing yourself, your approach, your perspective. All of those things will help you get a different result and be in control of your love life. Reinvention focuses on getting yourself into the best version of you and new state of positive mindset so that you attract the like. Now, this is important because, especially during this time of year, burnout is really high, and you might feel a variety of mental and physical health symptoms as well. Like, it's not good for you, and if you let it go too long, you almost get used to it, and it reinforces that victim mentality. And if it's left unaddressed, burnout can make it difficult for you to function well, make good choices when it comes to even selecting your dates. And it's going to be hard to be positive when even talking to your potential dates. I mean, your negativity leaks. It leaks in your body language, the way you talk to them. Your energy might be low. Your dates might not feel that chemistry coming from you because you're almost like going through the motions. That negativity you experience attracts negative interactions or even wards off the potential dates. So that's why it's really important to look at this stuff. And I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Kim, it's hard to even have energy because I'm in this slump, and I don't want to try different things and make over different aspects of my life. I'm just so tired. So why should I even bother? Right. And I'm getting to the point of just not caring anymore. I recently had a client who said that, and that's very real. Like you feel like you want to give up. But here's the thing. As long as you stay stuck, or as long as you believe it's exhausting and that nothing works, then you will make that true and will continue doing what you are doing. And you might even fall into the category of habitual burnout, which is when you don't manage to recover from burnout and the state and the symptoms become a part of your life and perceived reality. So it just becomes your reality and you feel like there's no way out. And if you stay stuck in complacency, then you won't feel any movement in your life. You just stay stagnant. Okay, so here's a metaphor to think about. Like, take a penny. The copper in a penny, whether it forms the bulk of a coin or merely a surface layer, it turns dull when it's exposed to the air. And it isn't difficult to clean dull pennies. All you have to do is immerse them in a solution with water, vinegar, and salt. Okay. It'll turn bright again in less than a minute. But so many of you, or us, I know I was in that like dull penny stage, become used to being the dull penny. And you think, oh, well, it just happens because the penny's old. There's nothing you can do. And you might just like try running it underwater and it still doesn't get shiny. You're not using the correct methodology to get the penny to where it needs to be. I mean, we as humans are the same way. When you clean it properly, which doesn't really take much effort, you just needed to know the plan, right? It shines. So I want you to be that penny. Okay, so here I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to give you the tips to be that penny. So just know that reinvention focuses on getting yourself into the best version of you, that penny, the shiny penny version, and that new state of positive mindset so that you can attract the the positive energy that you are seeking. So here's some ways you can reinvent yourself to combat that dating burnout. Number one, I want you to get rid of things that don't serve you. I mean, there's a lot of areas in your life that you could do an assessment on and say, okay, this is not serving me. Get rid of it. I think the two biggest areas that you could do a hard look at, and it's kind of like what I did in my journey. Number one is friendships. Maybe they were good for you at some point in your life, but now it's feeling lopsided, like you're not getting the same thing back in return, or maybe you never did, but you were able to accept it. As you grow and you gain confidence, really take a look at who's giving back to you. Hanging on to old friendships and patterns will prevent you from positivity and healthy relationships moving forward. That's even in your dating life. It's like a pure reflection. So if you're, for instance, attracting, lopsided relationships in your dating life, look at your friendships. Are they the same? A lot of times they are. And this is the time where you can create new social circle by getting into more activities and commit to meeting new people, especially if you're single. Be the Sex and the City gal like I was. You have, but again, it takes effort. You have to go and start getting involved in things and meeting people so that you start building those friendships. The other area that you can get rid of, which is super easy, and I'm not going to lie, I just did this yesterday, in fact, hot off the press, is get rid of clothes that don't fit you or suit you. What doesn't fit, get rid of it. If it's been hanging in the closet for more than 2 years, get rid of it. And I will throw myself under the bus. I was horrified to find some of the things that I found in my closet. Okay. And, I, I do what I do. Right. And I always like to practice what I preach. And when I found 1990s blazers in the back of my closet collecting dust, I was horrified, and it just showed like there's still these like cobwebs in areas of my life that I'm still hanging on to. And it was such a release when I put them in the bag. I think I ended up with 10 bags full of clothes. So it shows you like, even when you think that you're getting rid of junk, it's a kind of a metaphor, you still got work to do. This is a never ending process, by the way. There's an evolution to this, but you got to start somewhere, right? I suggest as you're clearing out the closet, if there are things that you can't get rid of, I tell people make a memory box for yourself, and you can put those things in a box and put it in the garage or another like area in your home, because then at least it's not crowding your closet with something that you really don't wear, but maybe you have some attachment to. And we all have emotional attachments to different clothes. Maybe it was like the first date with someone significant in your life, or an item that a family member gave you. We all have that. But clearing out the closet makes room for new energy and clothes, by the way. Purge and splurge, and then like hop on a virtual makeover with me and let's get you some new stuff. There's great sales happening this time of year too. Okay, and when you organize everything, you will be able to see everything much clearer. Again, metaphor to your life as well. All right, so get rid of it. Get rid of it. All right, next category. For reinvention, it's time for a new look. Is your wardrobe and appearance a little outdated? Could it use a little sprucing up? Do a makeover. But here's the thing, do it for you. Don't do it for the guy or the gal. Do it for you. And if you improve how you feel about yourself, you're going to improve your dating life. I mean, this is my whole thing, right? Like, me using my outside in approach. This stuff works. The way you look will have a significant effect on your self-esteem. And if you've been slacking in your appearance, you've been in that slump, it's time to start paying attention. Ditch the clothes that do not flatter your figure and get proper fitting ones that highlight your body's strengths, your body type. If you don't know your body type, you can hop over to my website, kimmyseltzer.com, and grab that body style guide that I have right in my website. And you can measure yourself and see what body type you are. And I go over what flatters your figure and what clothes to stay away from too. So this is a way to get started. Again, it's a way of putting yourself into action. But here's the thing, you want to create a sexy dating image, not just getting clothes for the sake of getting clothes, but really keeping in mind what makes you look and feel sexy. And you can also consider getting a new hairstyle. This is a great time to do that. Experiment with different looks, see what works best for you. When you look good, you boost your self-esteem and you put yourself in the best position to attract the best people in your life. Okay, the third area of reinvention has to do with your health. This is a great time to boost your health routine. Start exercising and taking healthy foods when reinventing. When you are healthy, you can focus on what a partner is bringing into your life and are better placed to make conscious decisions. And you'll also have more energy, which is super attractive. So, because a boost in your physical health also means an increase in your self-esteem. Again, it's all intertwined. And you can use this time to get into a daily routine of exercise. I do this with my clients all the time. In fact, there was a client who was feeling really like stuck in her life. She was really in a rut and she had lost her job and she wasn't doing any kind of routine in her life. And she used to exercise, before calling me, she told me she exercised a lot, but she kind of let that go because she doesn't have the routine of work to motivate her and keep her going. And she was sitting there just like getting up with no routine, doing nothing. She wasn't motivated to search for a new job. She wasn't motivated to get online to search for a new man. Like it all kind of imploded on her. And instead of having her start with creating a profile, I had to get her feeling better about herself in general and into a routine. So we mapped out a routine. I do this for my clients a lot, that helped her develop some sort of schedule for herself with exercise. And we came up with a list of different exercises she could do because novelty is key when it comes to exercise. This is why a lot of people, hit the ground running and they'll burn out actually doing the same routine over and over and over again. But then the muscles and your mind get sick of that routine. So we came up with a list of different things. And for her, because she had to work on her femininity, I had her doing more like feminine type of movement. So we looked into Zumba and salsa and yoga that was more flowy, and, it really, really helped her. And again, I'm not saying that this was the reason why, but I'm happy to report that after she started getting into a routine, she started, being more aggressive in her job search, and she landed an amazing job. So, she's on her way. And now that her self esteem is up, we're ready to dive into her dating life. So, again, like sometimes you got to start with just, this stuff about you before you even hop online. That's why I'm saying this is a good time to do an assessment and a makeover for yourself. Um, when you take a new form of exercise and you look into maybe taking a cooking class to create new healthy dishes, like all those things change up the routine, they change the muscle. So you and your muscles don't experience that atrophy, so to speak. Okay, so that's that category, the health category. The other category of reinvention is spend time with yourself, like date yourself. When looking for love, most people spend time looking for somebody else, and they'll go, spend time with one person after another trying to find it. To reinvent yourself, try slowing down and enjoying yourself. This might mean, going out alone, take yourself out on a date, sit at a hotel bar and start chatting up people, take a vacation, engage in other fun activities alone, because also you're more apt to meet people when you're alone than when you're with even just one friend. But doing any of these things allow you to understand what makes you tick so that you can communicate the same to your future partner and guarantee a fulfilled romantic life. It was funny. I remember when I was filming the show that I was in, the reality show, The Romance, one of the days we filmed in this huge mansion. And we were all supposed to stay overnight and do like shooting the next day as well. And it turned out we got it all in one shot. Well, all the people that were there lived in the area, so they just went home. And I decided to stay in this huge mansion by myself. Now, part of me was a little scared, but again, that kind of fear factor is always something I lean into because it's something that's also kind of exciting and helps you change. So I said, I haven't really just been with myself in a while, and I decided to just stay and hang out in the mansion. And I had so much fun with myself. I I think I took a bubble bath. I went into like every room, and I did some filming, and I watched a movie, and I just like I took the opportunity to use the different rooms, and it was almost like a fantasy, like what would it be like to live in a mansion, kind of thing. So doing things like that for yourself is really, really time well spent. It's not a waste of time, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm wasting time. I should be, going online and going on dates. Spending time with yourself is just as important as spending time with others. Okay, the other category of reinvention is to try to date completely different types of potential dates. Now, this might be hard for you, because if you have a type, you got to ask yourself, well, how is that working for you? Because obviously your type isn't working. So if you find yourself dating the same pattern of people, try on others for size. Think of it like shopping. So, and you shop, you're used to seeing something maybe that has great hanger appeal, and you go for the ones that look really good. But maybe the ones who don't have good hanger appeal might fit you absolutely perfectly if you just try it on. Come on, we've all experienced that. And this is what I do, with my clients when I'm shopping with them. I mean, they'll look at something like, oh, I could never wear that. Well, if you try it on, maybe you're right, but you'll never know unless you try. And 9 times out of 10, it does work. So don't discount someone based on maybe the qualifications you're used to seeking out. Like, instead of basing on their job or appearance, look at more indicators about their heart, their attitude, the way they write, their emotional health, their perspective on life. And so if you are someone who only dates starving artists, been there, done that, by the way, then try dating a lawyer, try them on for size, see what it go, how it flows, how it goes. Be open to surprises in your dating life and you'll improve everything. Like just go for it. Do something different. When you are online, look at the photos and profiles of single people that you would normally pass on. So if you always go for the sleek professional man, for example, give the Midwestern farmer a chance, possibly. I mean, he could be really down to earth and fun. So you get my point. This might be hard, but I would gamify it. I would say, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to try to date as many people out of my like type as possible and just do a little data dating and take notes. See how it is. You might surprise yourself. Okay. The final category that I mean, there's many ways of making over, your life here, but the final category that I'm going to talk about is trying to go to new places and doing new things. So sign up for new classes or activities and subjects that interest you because that is where your tribe is. Look at possibilities. Also, where the opposite sex might be. If you're a woman, go to Home Depot. If you're a man, go to a yoga class. Like this is something that we don't even realize. Like you might be doing things in your life, in your everyday life, that you're not like using that opportunity to actually meet people. But if you also take new classes or new experience or do some new experiences, you'll also meet people. So you can take a finance or investing class, rock climbing, golfing, snowboarding, hiking, biking, cooking class, wine tasting class. I mean, there's so many fun things. Make a list of things that you like and start Googling things that are happening in your area. Another way to improve your dating life is to go to like meetups. There's different groups out there that you might want to look into or look into volunteering. It could be like at your church or place of worship. It could be, national political group. It sometimes the obvious is, or things that are right in front of you, you don't even think about. I'm always reminded of the woman that I worked with who was going to these political meetings every Tuesday, and she kept complaining that she doesn't have a social life. I'm like, wait a second, aren't there people at these political groups? She's like, yeah, but they're just, for political reasons. I'm like, okay, well, there are probably some single people, just so you know, FYI. And she's like, oh, well, I mean, it's not really appropriate. So I made her go to the next time, the next session that she had with them, all dressed up. And I told her not to talk about politics, but more about just them as people. And to her surprise, she ended up getting asked out and made another girlfriend who could be her wing gal. So you never know. I just in the class that I just finished, how to date in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, which, by the way, I have another one coming up. So make sure you're on my list so you know when that is. I'm going to be doing it again in the winter, probably in February. And in the last class, we workshopped just how to kind of create a social dating plan. And people came up with amazing ideas, like things that they just forgot that they like to do and are going to start doing it in the new year. So think about it. Okay. I want to read you a letter I recently got that is absolutely perfect for the subject that we're talking about. She says, I'm pretty sure it's a woman. Hey, Kim, admittedly, I am really sick and tired of doing the online thing and find myself feeling negative about it all. How do I motivate myself to pick myself up and get out of this rut? I really want to change, but I don't know how. Helpless in Seattle. Ugh. I know how hard that is when you want to change something so badly and it just feels dreadful. And especially because after you've been doing it a while, you feel like there's nothing else to do. But if you keep doing that same thing, like just numbing out, swiping right and left without a change of some sort, maybe it's your approach, your perspective, your mindset, as I always talk about, you are actually adding to your depression, your anxiety, and of course, the burnout that I'm talking about, because nothing is different about what you're doing. And that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So here are some tips to help you get out of that rut. One thing, I always say, do a pattern disruption. If you're in a pattern of some sort, you gotta just switch it up. So look at your profile, do an assessment, and change some things about your profile. Maybe you want to consider new pictures. Maybe you want to get some new clothes and take new pictures. Maybe the description you want to change. And by the way, when you change any aspect about a profile, it also changes the algorithms in the app. So a lot of people end up seeing new people when they do that. So it's so good to change things up. The second thing you might want to look into doing is try a different site just to re-energize you. Like if you've been on Bumble forever, like just take a pause and hop into something else and see if you get just energized by new inventory. But I would change your profile first, just get some energy around that and then go into a different profile. The third thing you may want to do is change the vetting process. Like I was talking about before, maybe your picker is off and you need to have a different approach with things. So, if you are the type that are having that checklist and you're looking for all these indicators of the bad people and the good people, pick people, because I'm not sure if you're a man or woman, I'll say pick people that are not your type. And then treat online as one big party. I tell my clients this all the time. If your mindset is around that online dating is where you meet your soulmate and you're vetting for the next boyfriend or girlfriend, that's never a good idea. You're going to get really burnt out fast again, because that's too much. There's no way you can possibly vet for that the way that you're going at it. You have to just treat online dating as one big party. Like you would never walk into a party and have your checklist and then go to someone and ask, okay, so how long have you been married? And do you like this? Do you like that? Do you like that? Like, you meet someone and you see if you like them. And then you have a conversation and, try to have fun. Try to have fun and just connect with people. And then the rest will fall into place. You have plenty of time to get to know all their qualifications. First, see if the heart is there, as I was saying before. Okay, I hope that works. Oh, and I will say one last tip. There's something to be said about shutting down the apps and the sites and just go living life. If you're in that burnout with online, then go offline. This is where you can take yourself out, start talking to people in real life. And when you exercise that social muscle, that it won't get atrophied as much, because there is an atrophy that happens when all you're doing is swiping and you're not having real conversations. Okay, I will leave it at that. You listening, helpless in Seattle, you deserve to attract something different into the new year. And reinvention focuses on getting yourself into the best version of you and that new state of positive mindset so you attract the like. I hope that was helpful for that reset, that reboot. Thanks for joining me today. This has been the Charisma Quotient. Of course, I'm your host, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you want to know more, make sure you go to my site, kimmyseltzer.com. And if you are in total dating burnout and you need a reboot with a reinvention plan for your love life, hop on a free call with me. This is a great time of year to do that. And yes, you will talk to me personally. People are always surprised when they take advantage of this, that they actually get me. And there's always this weirdness at the end, like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. It's funny. Yes, I'm a real person. Just click on the link you see in the show notes to book it, and I will help you map out a plan in doing so. So until then, remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now.